Hello everyone, welcome to Hans Garage. Today's fun project, I'm going to replace all of my parking brake or emergency brake components for my E46 330i. So I've gotten my parts from ECS Tuning.com, and it's called Parking Brake Refresh Kit for all the E46 models, and it costs about $129.79, and I will put a link in the description box below so you guys can look into it. And the kit comes with 2 parking brake cables left and right, 2 parking brake cable screws, parking brake shoe set, all the springs necessary for the installation, 2 adjusting screws, 2 expanding locks, and 2 plastic guide sleeves. But one of the things I don't recommend buying from this kit is the brake shoe set. So during the installation, I installed everything properly, but then my rotor wouldn't fit afterwards. So a couple minutes later, after struggling a little bit, I realized the adjusting screw insert gap were slightly bigger than the original brake shoe set. So what I had to do, I had to grind all the adjusting screw inserts to make enough room to close the gap between the brake shoes, and then I was able to fit the rotor, and it works perfectly. So if you can, do some research, read some comments about which brake shoes fit better for your car, and buy the right parts. Alright, let's get started. So first I'm going to jack up my car right by my subframe mounts. I've actually seen people jacking up their car by the differential, and I really don't recommend doing that because the differential bushings, they're not meant to take all the car's weight. So the proper way to jack up your car is by right underneath your subframe mounts. So first I'm going to jack it up, and then I'm going to bring 2 of my jack stands and then put them right underneath my jacking pads, and then I'm going to slowly release my floor jack. And first I'm going to take my wheels off, and in order to do so you will need 17mm sockets. Right now I am using my impact gun. It'll make my job so much easier. If you don't have one, you should get one. Just look how easy it is. Using my long 1/4 inch 10mm socket with an extension, I'm going to take off my cables first. Take off the brake boot and you will see 2 10mm screws, and I'm going to take them off. And then I'm going to take off my brake caliper, In order to do so, you will need 16mm socket, and to take off the rotor, you will need 6mm Allen wrench key. To take off the brake shoe spring, you will need 5mm Allen wrench key. And pull the remaining spring on the brake shoe with a set of pliers. As for me, I found it easier to pull off the expanding lock side instead of the adjusting screw side. Once the spring is set free, just pull off the brake shoes. To take off the expanding lock, simply open it up and unhook it from the cable. In order to reach in underneath my car to take off my brake cables, I would have to loosen my exhaust pipe, and I will need 13mm socket, and to dismount the muffler, you also need 13mm socket. And to take off heat shield, you will need 10mm socket, and there's 4 10mm screws. And here's the tricky part, you kind of have to hang onto your exhaust just a little bit to give yourself more room to take off your heat shield. After taking off the heat shield, you will see two brake cables right by the drive shaft. You just have to pull them and take them off. And now pull the cables through the subframe. And to take off the cable from the trailing arm, I've simply hammered it with a wedge. Here's the comparison between the old cables and the new cables that I'm about to install. First, put the new cable through the subframe. And pull it through the subframe and push it all the way in as shown in the pictures. and put the expanding lock end through the trailing arm hole. Right now I'm going to demonstrate what it would look like if you were to install the cables properly, and you should be able to see the threaded screw come out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the cable just a little bit, and I'm trying not to damage the thread of the cable so that I don't mess up the thread and I won't be able to screw my bolt in. So I'm going to pull the cable just a little bit more. I'm going to try to screw it in there. It's not biting yet, so I gotta pull a little bit more. Be careful not to drop your bolt. If you do, get a magnet and pull it up. But I need to pull this cable just a little bit more. And there it is. It's installed. Okay. And right now I'm going to leave the bolts just a little bit screwed in, and then I'm going to install everything back together, and then I will make adjustments accordingly. First, I'm going to mount the brake shoes with the springs. As you can see, I am not using the Allen wrench key to press in the springs because they are flexible and new. And then I'm going to put in the adjustment screw. And to install the expanding lock, you simply hook the cable in first and then close it. Now the hard part is putting the actual springs from brake shoe to brake shoe. And I am using my flathead screwdriver to pull the spring, and then using my set of pliers to readjust where the spring goes to, and then putting it into the hole. Make sure you use the right spring. The size differences are the bigger spring is for the expanding lock, and the smaller spring is for the adjustment screw. Once all the springs are set, you can put in the rotor, and then to install the rotor you will need 6mm Allen wrench key. And then you will have to install the caliper, and you will need 16mm socket. Now we are going to make adjustments for the parking brake. So what you have to do is you have to pull the brake all the way up and then tighten the screw little by little. And then as you tighten the screw, try to see if you can spin the wheel from the back. If you can spin the wheel, that means you have to tighten the screw a little bit more. And then once you get to a point where you can't spin the wheel by yourself, that means it's tight enough. And then you can release the brake and see if the wheels get loosened again. So keep doing this from time to time, and then you will figure out where the perfect position would be for the screw. And that's how you make adjustments for the parking brake. And now our job is done, and we are going to remount the heat shield using 10mm sockets. And then we're going to remount the exhaust pipes using 13mm sockets, and that is it. And finally, I am going to lift up my car using my floor jack, and then remove my jack stands, and then my job is finished. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a comment if you have any questions, and subscribe for upcoming videos. I'll see you guys next time.